Hi, I'm Marc.
And I'm Chris.
And we play guitar in I Fight Bears, and you're watching Riff Talk on IFB TV.
Son!
This week on Riff Talk TV, we're going to go through Lost the Fight, which I think is like the third single we've released off this album. And it's the one with the video of the bear, and it's all animated, and Trigger ends up getting his ass kicked by a bear, and we come in to save his ass. Check out the link to Lost the Fight.
There.
Right there.
There.
Right there. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to stay up to date with the notifications when we upload and shit like that. So, Lost the Fight, this was actually the second song we ever wrote. No.
Yeah, I didn't even write it.
No, yeah, you weren't even in the band at this time. Okay, so it was just me, Trigger, and Drew. Second song we ever wrote. The first song will never see the fucking light of day, because that is the worst piece of shit I've ever created in my life, and I'm so ashamed that I ever did. But yeah, this is loosely based around the fact that we wanted to write a song that had that kind of Southern American, Lamb of God-y kind of vibe to it. That fast-paced, open, chugged riff, and you know, we had the idea of the fucking double kick with the drums hammering behind it as well. When it comes to writing these songs, writing these riffs and things, personally, I don't have a methodology as to how I work. 9 times out of 10, and this is probably the worst way you could ever do it, is I sit down with the guitar in my hands and I just fuck with it until something cool happens, and then I frantically try and replay it over and over again to remember it or get it on video.
I got a slightly different method.
Yeah.
I just sit there eating Jaffa cakes, and then a riff will just come to me.
Well, that explains why that is there, and I wrote most of the album. So this was my riff that I came up with out of the blue. Sat down, Trigger asked me to come up with a riff that kind of sounded like Southern American metal, and this literally was the first thing that came out. I just felt like moving my fingers fast across the fretboard, and that's what happened. But generally, what is going on there is everything is bouncing out over this pedal tone open C. Because obviously, again, this week, well, all of our songs are all in C, G, C, F, A, D. So that's C, G, C, F, A, D. Again, it's just a standard tune guitar. Everything dropped down a tone, and then your 6th string, drop down a tone further again. So what we're going to do with this riff is, beginning from the start of the song, everything kind of runs off of like a 16th note pedal tone, isn't it? Is it 16th? Just with like every now and then we just hold out for like a quarter note or whatever. But it starts off with the open rung 6th string. So this part is you're hammering on from the 10th fret on the low 6th string up to the 12th fret. So it sounds something like this. And you're going to come all the way down to the 3rd fret on the 6th string at the end. Okay, so there's 2 ways you can play it. You can either play it like me, and it's... and you want to try and pinch that if you can. It's difficult when you're coming so far down the neck. Or you can play it in this position, which is where Chris plays it. Because, you know, whatever.
It's easier.
It is easier.
You don't have to move your hand down the neck.
Yeah, it is easier to play it there, but I just prefer the tonality and the feeling of just hammering the 6th string throughout pretty much the whole riff.
It sounds thicker and fuller the way that you play it.
Yeah, because it's all coming off of the 6th string, which is obviously a thicker string, and you're going to get a slightly different timbre out of it and a slightly different tone if you're running it.
Fucking swallowed a thesaurus, did you?
Jaffa cake time. So what you're going to do is exactly the same as what you did up here. But we're going to do it on the 5th string. Okay? So it's open, hammer on. Okay.
The only difference is when you play it on one string, so your right hand doesn't have to move. When I play it, because it's on two strings, your right hand has to kind of go back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, so you do have to jump across the fifth and the sixth strings with Chris's method of playing the song. Again, another reason why I like playing it the way I do, because obviously live, if you're a bit energetic on stage, you're jumping around, your head banging, you can't really pay attention to what's happening on the neck. You just kind of know that everything is happening, or pretty much everything is happening on the one string, and you're just gonna kind of know roughly where to go and you're okay. But yeah, so that was Chris's way of playing that part. But then we both play this part the same. So this one is one of those ones where if you play it up to speed and you play it fast, it kind of just happens naturally and you don't really think about it. So slowing it down is proving a little bit of a pain in the ass because you have to count exactly how many hits are going around. So playing it slow, it should sound something like this. Looking for approval from Christopher there.
Approval given.
Being the more competent of the two of us.
You just use those three fingers, really.
Yeah.
And they don't really move. It's just how they sit on the neck.
And then it's just the sequence in which you press them down. Yeah, your hand doesn't move. It's basically across the third, fifth, sixth frets and off the open string. So your hand doesn't move. So just to play that again for you so you can see the finger pattern movement.
That's an important note.
That open.
Wow,
yeah.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
The wow, whoa, 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 whoa. We're going to repeat the riff again back up here at the 12th fret, or you can use Chris's method down here in the third position. So coming from here, we're going to come back down to the third fret. And we're going to pull off to open. It's important to note that when you're playing this riff, in order to really nail it, I guess, the way that we play it, or at least try to fucking play it, is the pinch harmonics are like a kind of key point in the riff. So your first one is obviously there, excuse me, and then your second one is when after you've done the riff again, you come back down to the that pinch. Yeah, the pinch harmonics are pretty important because they're the kind of cool part of the riff, I guess.
They match up with the drums as well.
Yeah, but again, we're going to come back up and repeat the riff. On the fourth time, we're not going to come back and do the riff, okay? We're going to hang out and we're going to do a series. You can do them as pull-offs, I guess, if you want. I prefer to straight pick them in order to get each note out.
It's the impossible bit.
Yeah, the impossible bit. It kind of floats around the metronome for a little while in the ether somewhere for a second. But essentially, this is what you're going to be doing. All right. So if I break that down for you a little bit, just to make it a bit easier, we're just basically 5, 3, and open on the 6th string, okay? So we're going to come down from the 5th, 3rd, and the open. Run that round a few times. At the end, there's a double open, okay? So, and then we're going to move up to the 5th string, same pattern. See, at the end there, we came back up, so it's... And then this is where another key pinch harmonic comes in. It's on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. And then for the run down, it's just a chromatic, well, it's not even true chromaticism, but...
Close enough.
Yeah, chromaticism in the sense of you're using your fingers in a chromatic way. We're going to come down on the 2nd string, 5, 4, 3. And then on the 6th string, 5, 4, 3 again. So... And that's it. And if you can manage to piece together some sense out of that, you too can learn how to play Lost the Fight.